into whatever they want. It feels like it combos into whatever they want, I should say. That being said, if Brian is able to bait out options, we also know and we have seen Brian just do a really good job of parrying certain options. Brian is able to get huge damage on the girls, and the girls are light enough that they just kind of explode off the screen when they get hit with a strong hit. You kind of are scared for the Powerpuff Girls earlier than you are scared of most characters, I should say. Like once they hit like 60, 70 points of heat, you're like, ooh, they might just die randomly, especially a stage like this one on Sky Arena. So we're going into game one. We see them dancing a little bit. Nobody quite making any commitments until Aeris lands that first hit, getting a quick 52. That being said, Brian playing huge patiently, getting a jab combo right off the bat. Not getting a lot of damage though. Trying to bait out a swinging Aeris with that parry, but unable to catch anything. Already at 102, Brian's not getting anything, getting knocked off stage over and over again. Huge nair into the side B, actually. And now, while it might look like Aeris has a lead, they're both at kill range. And that is scary. As we see, oh, good dive from Aeris, but Brian able to close out, catching the movement with that side B. Now a full stock ahead and trying to extend the lead as much as possible.
Brian doing very, very well to secure an early lead for themselves there. As now we see Aeris follow up with a downward spike in order to even up the playing field. Very, very clean and efficient. And now potentially looking to further that lead as we maybe seen them go for the early stage elimination that we've seen them perform a couple of times during this tournament. Brian very good at playing close to the edges of the map though. So it could be very risky for Aeris to put himself in such a vulnerable position against someone of this caliber. We've seen him go to the other side of the stage. Now, we do in fact see Aeris try and set up for it. Brian was prepared though and had enough evasive resources in order to get away. And Brian's very, very good at his resource management. It's a very key skill when it comes to multiverses, if not one that's very rarely discussed in all honesty.
I'm actually surprised that Brian wasn't able to get the parry there either. That was the second time that we see the parry come out. That I was actually... Oh no, Aeris! I was gonna say that it didn't connect as we see the hitbox kind of trade there. Aeris unfortunately making a little bit of stumble, losing their stock, able to find that up attack and collecting Brian's stock there. But as we've seen over and over again, Shaggy's so strong. My God.
A very, very clean round one for BrianYi. You know, it's ultimately going to happen. You have two people that have been on a tear throughout the tournament. Storms are going to collide. Brian taking advantage of it in this initial encounter. But of course, this is best of 5 rules, so he'll need to win another 2 rounds if he wants to progress on to the finals to get those points and that $50 prize we have waiting for him at the end. Going to Trophy's Edge for round 2. This platform starting inward and now beginning to extend out to the edges of the map. Something both of these guys have made very good use of during the evening so far. I expect we'll see a lot more of that. As we see Aeris trying to take initial momentum, get that edge guard up, but Brian has been able to do a lot of damage. Already gotten Aeris up to 56 on heat. Aeris now trying to answer back, and of course, we know that Aeris doesn't necessarily care for the heat levels as they do positioning. They've not been able to manipulate Brian in the way they typically would want to for their opponent. Brian answering back very well with a double axe handle, securing the edge, but both are still going to remain in play.
I'm really impressed with Brian taking advantage of, or I guess not taking advantage, or being very aware of the Multiversus mechanics, trying to get those parries, trying to get those tech reads when the auto tech comes into play. Good securing that first stock, and holding on to this one. Now at 113. Ooh, getting grabbed by the girls. Aeris super ready though, getting the jab into the up attack. Now Brian back on the offensive, anticipating that return hit, but both players, I'm so impressed with how ready they are to call out options, call out DI, as we see Aeris just take 1, 2, oh, almost 3. It looked like stocks in a row.
Brian answering really, really well here to the sudden shift in pressure as Aeris now trying desperately to finish out the round. Obviously trying to get that point back and take us onto at least a round 4 game. Aeris able to stay alive. Very, very close to the edge there. Very risky, but is at 98. Brian's going to be looking for that eliminating hit. Although Aeris could be catching it with the ultimate select. Does not follow it up just on this occasion, but does maintain very, very good control of the edge of the map. Swapping out with Brian temporarily is now both secure themselves in center stage. And we're going to see a continual application of pressure from Aeris as they try and finish out that game, trying to control that spacing as best as they can. A very good character for doing so. Brian, really nice on the backhand there, gets Aeris into 108, but at 115, it is only a matter of time. We're going to be looking for Brian to not only get this life down on Aeris, but then play a practically perfect game. They do get the elimination, but at 115, they are in a very, very risky scenario. Even a random hit could be enough for them to be eliminated. As we see the combo coming up, Brian using his ability to stay in, slowing his momentum at the edge of the stage here and using that super kick to try and stay in power, try and stay in control. Is able to get a nice little loop on
read.
Aeris here. Doesn't quite follow it up though. Aeris stays alive.
Oh my god, Brian just doing this huge combo on Aeris. Now we're waiting patiently as Brian, trying not to get caught in a stray hit, is unfortunately survives. As they're playing this dance around the corner, both players at kill percent now. As the dash attack finally does it. My god, my heart. I will say, there's things that I'm really impressed by both players. I'm really impressed with Brian's ability to keep up the aggression, even though they are in burnout, able to get find those hits, because the best time to get the kill is while you are in burnout, so you have a little bit more time to regen your dodge bar. Aeris doing a really good job of just spacing out Shaggy. That is really the kind of thing you have to do. Shaggy's really strong and is really fast and is able to get in quite aggressively. But the girls, especially because the outer hitboxes, and if you're throwing out one of your members, doesn't actually have a hurt box on them, can be really detrimental. I thought that was it for Brian. I thought that was the stock. As we see Brian fighting over and over again, able to get the reversal and able to get back on stage. 34-75.
Aeris now trying to make the most of it and trying to apply that pressure further and further. But Brian is doing a very, very good job of sort of building up that damage back. Potentially went for an elimination there, but Aeris was able to capitalize on the momentum and get the life down on Brian. He's going to start taking the lead in this match. Brian immediately trying to answer back, and there is it, evened up 1 point apiece. 6 minutes left on the clock. We're only a minute into this match, and already we're seeing that pressure between the two. We're seeing the stakes get higher and higher as we see now Aeris trying to set up for that combo once again. Brian's evasiveness has been on absolute form. both players able to stay alive just about.
I will say, I'm sure as both players are aware, this is not match point. That being said, Aeris says that I want to be the one on match point as they close out another early stock. Brian has a huge walk to get up as they eliminate the girls at 70 points of heat. That's about as early as you're going to get on any character in Multiversus. Combo starting up for Brian. Honestly, getting a pretty decent lead going into each person's third stock. Not connecting with the Sarah, but connecting with the parry. Now, all of a sudden, the girls, I guess the Rowdy Rough Boys, are now at kill percent for a straight up special or an up. A really strong up air. BrianYi struggles to get back. Reverses with the Sarah. 93 to 50 as the call out on the side special. Excuse me? What a call out. What a call. Basically, Brian's like, you're going to stay there. You're going to stay there. You're going to stall a little bit. The side beat takes a second for the hurtbox of the Rowdy Rough Boys to latch onto the wall of the stage, and Brian took full advantage of that split second where the hurtbox is still out in the middle of the ether and calls it out with a dare and able to close out game 3. Ugh. Don't you laugh at me, CJ, for my shock, my heart. Man, what a stock! What a game from BrianYi. Aeris, might be a little shaken up as we stall a little bit going into game 4. Trophy's edge. Aeris was able to take a really early stock last game. Let's see if they're able to do so again. They are.
Very, very well done from Aeris, trying desperately to make sure that that lost time isn't wasted. We see now Brian trying to get themselves in position as they begin to push on Aeris, but Aeris is there, has the answer for it, ready at a moment's notice, using that floating platform to try and get a little bit closer to the edges of the map. A very, very risky play from Brian as he goes now down to the edges. Could be taken out at any point, but the ability to escape using the wings, very, very well done on their part. Brian at 55, Aeris at 43, 6 minutes on the clock. Aeris 1 point up.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that the trio gets to cover so much ground so quickly. BrianYi struggling to get a footing in this game. Already at a 132 on their second stock. And honestly, Aeris sitting a little bit comfortably. Unable to connect. Great reversal from Aeris. Able to call out Brian for attempting to call out their movement. Now all of a sudden we have a 2-0 lead for Aeris, and the lead just keeps widening. Aeris takes a huge. Ooh, I was gonna say
very, very risky move there.
I was gonna say that Aeris was taking a huge advantage off of those moving platforms, but unable to quite connect and close out the game. But this is looking rough for Brian.
Brian now, once again using that platform to try and get a little bit of space. Both these guys are over 100. Brian at 100 on the dot, Aeris at 113. Both at kill range. Aeris able to finish up the match, and we are in fact going to our first round 5 of the evening. Aeris has done an incredible job of this sort of back and forth comeback story that they've been developing throughout this series, but it all comes down to this. Brian really needs to lock in Aeris really needs to lock in. They have been answering each other left and right. They've been reading each other like clockwork throughout the course of the series, and
That was a 3-0. That was 3-0 on game 4.
it was a statement, is what it was. It was a statement.
Game 5, we see the girls hop in. We see Brian getting a little bit of food in him as he gets the first hits. That being said, this is kind of the thing that you get nervous about. Shaggy off stage with the girls on the aggression. But Brian constantly, over and over again, getting the parry right when Aeris is not expecting it and able to capitalize on it. That being said, get punished almost twice for parrying in neutral. That being said, it has a small lead. Brian looks to close out the stock and does so.
Brian now supercharged and ready to go, desperately trying to get as much damage as possible before Aeris undoubtedly evens up the stock count. Immediately, there it is. Brian was able to get a nice 38 on Aeris, but Aeris very, very good at eliminating his opponents very quickly. This is basically neck and neck. As these two desperately fight for their ticket to the upper finals. Brian went for the uppercut elimination there, but Aeris able to read it very, very easily. And now goes for an elimination of their own. Brian just able to hold on. That kind of move would have eliminated someone else earlier on in the tournament, but Brian going in as strong and confident as ever, pushing back on Aeris. We see 81 to 98. Both one stock down. This could go either way as we see Brian exhaust himself out of stamina. Punished for it as Aeris gets the downward spike and starts taking lead. Brian now going to try and even up the stock count. Aeris at 105. Are we going to see the elimination? There it is with the ironclad knee.
I was going to say, even though Aeris was the one to take the stock initially, being at I believe it was a 135. Shaggy can easily close out anything with even a straight hit here. That being said, being off stage against the rowdy rough boys is not an ideal situation as Aeris constantly poking and prodding, able to dodge through Shaggy. That being said, using an incredibly laggy option gets a couple points of damage off. Now, a huge lead for Aeris. Once again, the winner of this game moves on. The loser going into loser's bracket. This is everything. The trade